Welcome to the Ask Forensics Sales and Account Growth video series. Today, we're going to discuss how to navigate and grow your business through a crisis much like COVID-19. Our guest today is Al Kabus. Al, take a minute and tell us a bit about your background.
Sure. It's good to be here, and my background's been 40 years of leading different types of organizations, everything from building product companies, had some experience with Interface, Bentley, Mohawk, and also was able to get into the private equity world recently and performed a turnaround for Apollo out of New York with a company called Panalam, and had the good fortune to start and sell to small software companies that we started up in 2000 and 2004. So a very diverse background, both probably best known for starting companies and doing some turnaround work in different industries. So I've always had to deal with a headwind of some sort, and this COVID-19 issue right now that we're going through is no different. It's just buckling down and getting some good principled approaches in with customers, with your folks internally, and also with your supply chain. Everything is really important at this point to have a very succinct and defined plan.
Now, that's a very rich background, and Al, what also I think lends a very nice perspective to our video today is that you serve on several corporate boards and you're in touch with many executives and many different teams, and that gives you some insights and perspectives that a lot of executives in individual companies don't have the chance to experience.
Right. It is interesting. Working from the operational mode of leading companies is a bit different from being an influencer and a guide for different CEOs that I serve on the board of right now. And the one thing we're seeing in all cases is, at least with the companies I'm dealing with, is this has had a fairly significant impact on sales, on people, on the way they operate. Obviously, there's some companies that are fortunate to be in the complete digital space, maybe gaming or Zoom as we're on today, and other formats that seem to thrive in these environments, or medical industry in some cases. But I deal with more the conventional building product manufacturers and different service companies, and all of them right now have been thwarted and significantly impacted by the COVID virus.
Well, that's a great segue to my first question, and that is, let's look at existing strategic level B2B accounts. And in looking at the current environment, what challenges, Al, do you see companies are now facing in terms of taking care of their existing clients during a national and global crisis like we're going through now?
It's an interesting question, Rick. I mean, the most important thing is to note that everything has changed. The way you interact, the way you engage, the way you communicate, the time that you usually have allotted to yourself. Everybody's scrambling right now. It's a universal effect. It's not one piece of the food chain, it's the entire food chain. So if you're trying to service clients and your supply chain's off, or it's become less dependable, that affects you. The actual engagement to take care of the existing business you may have had in the pipeline and new opportunities is also greatly impacted, because it's all about uncertainty right now. And those companies that are doing excessively well are working within the framework of hiring the certainty, increasing certainty with their clients, and doing the things they know they can do, working from set inventories that they're aware of, making sure that they're putting their client first. And that's what everyone that I see succeeding in this environment is doing more than anyone else, is making sure they're helping their clients succeed and not just trying to sell them something. It's a time where goodwill is rewarded.
Now, that's a very good point. And if you were going to select one most effective action to take in these times, what would that be?
I think it's to sit down with your client and make sure you understand exactly what their situation is, making sure you understand how this is affecting them, what are their go forward strategies right now because every company is retooling everything they did. Their budgets are more or less scrapped. They're now working on a tight balance between cost control, SG&A costs, capital costs, and people, which is the most vital part of this. And we know that in the last few months, we've seen approximately 25 million Americans lose their job. And you could say from over the last 10 years or so, we've only added 22.5 million jobs. So we've actually wiped out what we've just added in the last decade in terms of horsepower, manpower that's been hired. So it's a very tough market. I think people are very scared. Everyone's worried if they're going to be let go. People are also not sure how to operate in this environment, so they can get frozen. So it's important for the sales leaders out there to keep their folks channeled. And it's really time to become more a wartime general than a coach or a mentor, or it's time to really direct traffic because it's a game of inches. You have to succeed in this time to save jobs, to keep customers, and to take advantage of any opportunity that presents itself by way of new business.
Al, those are great insights, and thank you so much for sharing your views. And we look forward to having you back at our next newsletter series next month. Thank you so much, Al.
Thanks, Rick.